Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Decon, here with
Ashley Oracle.
Ashley Orb. And today we're gonna just do like a discussion on sorcery and all that kind of stuff. So like there's really like no I don't even know what to call it. Let's just free ball this and kind of see what happens.
You don't even know what to call it.
No, like it's just like we're just freeballing it. We're just gonna be the loose stuff inside the boxers. Um
I feel like I have a light shining at the camera.
yeah.
Sorry.
So anyway, yeah, so tell me, I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna interview you. So let me get this on.
Oh God, don't do that.
Okay, so
Fairly
what
functional.
what role would you say that sorcery plays in your life?
How do you mean?
So all right, so for example, um if we look at something like a culture in, I don't know, southern Sudan, or something like that, South Africa, um sorcery, it plays like the role of everyday life to the point where signs is what drives these people. So like let's say they're going to go to work and they have to go get some things. If they see like a bad omen, they'll just turn around and go back home. Like it's just like that's how much it affects their life.
Oh, mm, I wouldn't say it affects mine to that point.
Yeah, I wonder
I
what.
hear stories like that where people will say, "Oh, if you forgot something, you were meant to like have this prevented from your life." And I don't necessarily believe that.
Yeah, so it's
Because if
almost
that's the
like,
way it is, then I'm being drawn to have something happen to me every day because I forget shit all the time.
yeah, it, and it's not even like the forgetting a thing. It's like the bad omen. Like, so there's people that be walking, and in places like South Africa, like walking, and if you see something like, let's say, a monitor and it crosses your path, it's almost similar to the damn black cat, almost to a point, but like crosses your path, they like stop and they're like, okay, something just cut off our path, so they turn around, they go home. And it's just, and so what I'm asking you is like, does it play like a big part of your life that way, or is it more of a hobby? Like what is it like for you?
Mm, I wouldn't say it's a hobby because I've been like, for example, I'll look back on like videos that I did like 10 years ago, and I see myself practicing in those videos without even like knowing it. So I think it's more of an instinct
Yeah, so it's just
for me
like,
than anything.
damn. And it seems like nowadays when you look at something like sorcery and magic and all that kind of stuff, it's almost like it's not even taken serious anymore. Like it's taken more of
No, it's a
it,
joke
yeah, it's almost like
to
it's even like
people.
a, it's even like a trend. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh,
Or
this
that.
is like, this is cool. So I was reading a book, of course, like if you've listened to the show long enough, like that one of my favorite books is Caesar, you know, and then just seeing how military campaigns were formed, or started or even ended based on signs, because again, you had Levitius, which was he was a sorcerer. He was like Gandalf. Like he was Gandalf. Like if you look at him, he was like Gandalf to all these people. They would go to him and they would ask him questions, and he knew his stuff. So when you had Caesar, and Caesar was waging war against the Ildui, which was like kind of like a branch off of the Celts, but they were smaller. And this campaign, they were kicking their ass. Like they out, not only did they have more men, but they had better equipment. They have all these things, and then a flock of birds just flies up in the sky, and then this guy comes up, and then he was like, they say, so it's beautiful how it was. They say that he whispers all the secrets of the skies, to Caesar. And what's funny is this book was written by Caesar. So the fact that he refers to himself in the third person, like he was LeBron James, it's pretty funny because LeBron James is like, LeBron James is going to do what LeBron James does. It's like, dude, you are
Oh God,
LeBron
he's the
James.
most
So,
annoying person on the planet.
I was in a Looney Tunes movie. So it's one of those things where, he whispered the secret, so he whispered to him. So then you have Caesar calling off the campaign. We're done for the day. Or he said, we're done for this season. And they back off and they leave, and everybody's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, we're winning. They're on the run. They're hungry. We have plenty of food. We built scorpion crossbows. We built ballistas, like all these type of military machines. These guys have nothing. And then just like that, he's like, all right, we're going home. Why are we going home? Well, because he read the birds, and that's a bad sign. And he's like, oh, okay. So then they go home. So it was just like, when you look at something like that, it was just like, it was such a magical time, because like everything was just surrounded by mysticism and sorcery, to
Hmm.
the point where when you have a sure thing like a military campaign, and you're banking on this campaign to bring home not just slaves, but a bunch of new, all kinds of different stuff and money. And then somebody's like, oh, by the way, all those months that we wasted getting here, we used up resources. Well, we're going home because somebody didn't like the way that the birds looked. And it's like, oh, okay. And but I mean, that was the lifestyle back then. I mean, the lifestyle of the lifestyle of those people was heavily based on, on magic and sorcery and signs and
Hmm.
curses, and it seems like we've lost that, you know
Oh yeah.
and
It's either a trend or people say it's evil, one of the two, which I don't know how working with nature and crystals and stuff like that is evil, but to each their own.
yeah, it's, well, I think it also like, it's, I don't know. I think that it's trendy. It's like what's cool. You have people out there that do collect crystals and all those kind of things, but then they just have them for display. And
Exactly.
it's like, do you use those? And it's like, no. Like, what do you have them for? Well,
No,
they look cool, and it's like, okay, and
I
it
mean,
just,
you shouldn't have them.
it's bizarre, and that's one of the things is that people need to like, I don't even say realize, they each their own. I mean, this is America. So, but a lot of people are just not, they don't understand. They think that, certain sorcery and all that kind of stuff, or let's say that they're like, oh, I'm a green witch. And it's like, okay, what does this mean to you? Oh, it means this or that. Like, yeah, well, it's like, well, you are aware that this is basically a religion, you know?
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, I don't see it like a religion. I just see it like a fun hobby. And it's like, huh, that's weird.
Exactly. And it's almost disrespectful when people say those things, though.
Do you, do you
To
feel like,
somebody like me who takes it very seriously, to hear somebody just be like, oh, I did it because I saw the trend, or oh, I bought this crystal because I just thought it would look cool. Like, that's just disrespectful. Learn how to use it.
what's crazy is when you see people like, oh, because they'll buy books, they'll buy things like
Hmm.
books on sorcery, because they see it like, almost like we had this discussion weeks ago about how, the talking board or the Ouija board, it's a fun game for the whole family. Come on, kids, come contact the, it was just one of those
No.
things. But they almost treat it the same way. Like, they're like, all right, people, get together, like you have a couple
Hmm.
of girls, or vipers, as I call them. You have some vipers, and they get together, they have wine, and then they're like, what's gonna be cool? Let's try this. And then they don't know what they're doing, so then they
Hmm.
either
You're
they
messing with things you probably shouldn't mess with.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So then their life begins to fall apart, or their friends, like their mother, like, oh, what's going to happen? It was,
Hmm.
a couple days ago, my mom's house burned down, and then I lost my job, and then my car died, and then my dog got hit by a truck, and it's like, well, what did you
What did
do?
you
Yeah,
do?
and but people don't think that. People are like, man, I'm having the shit luck. Like, really? Like, it all hit you at once? You know? Like, that's crazy.
Hmm.
And then they're like, well, tell me what happened. And they just like, well, I was having a good week. I had the girls over. We opened up the book of shadows, and then we started, all that kind of shit. And then it's just like irresponsible in a way.
It is. Like
So
like a lot of these trending witches, they have no idea what shadow work is, no idea what that consists of. And personally, I don't think they want to know. Like that is something very personal. Like just opening up the book of shadows, that's not going to teach you anything. You got to immerse within yourself and you got to figure it out on your own because it's your own personal problems, it's your own personal traumas that you need to work through.
have you ever seen those videos where you have somebody that's like performing spells or rituals, and then they're just kind of like going through it, and then they have like a mirror in front of them as they're performing spells? It's like, ooh,
Well,
hey,
and here's my issue with that. So I've done some spell videos, okay? But when I'm doing those, that spell is not happening in real time. I'm not actually like it's not I'm not actually putting those intentions to it. I'm doing it as a teaching method. But if you are videoing yourself doing a spell and showing that spell in real time, the person that you're doing that spell to, if you're doing a hex, for example,
I've
you
seen those
probably don't
hexes.
want that on video.
Yeah, I've actually
You're just being
seen
like,
those.
hey, this is happening in real time. I'm hexing you right now. It's not a good idea. Don't show your spells in real time. Do them as a teaching, but don't be
Yeah,
trendy and say, oh, look at me doing this spell. I'm going to write this person's name on this. Don't stop it.
it's like
Such a bad idea.
it's
Don't
just
do it.
like it's just like practicing, and like let's say that you're teaching self-defense. You have a rubber knife, you don't actually have a knife.
Yeah,
you
you're
know
not actually like stabbing somebody.
and that's interesting because there's videos out there, like there's, I forget her damn name. I'm not even gonna mention the channel if I do remember her name, but she specializes in teaching hexes, and she talks about, and like it's so bizarre, like you guys can type in on YouTube, hex spells, and then more than likely, this lady does a lot of videos. More than likely, she'll pop up, but she says things like, do I believe in, she says, I'm going to tell you a story. She said, the other day I was at the DMB, and this person, when I went to talk to them, she went, and then she started talking to me. And you know what I did? I got to the car, I performed the hex, and I'll tell you how I did it. And then she proceeds to,
God.
yeah, she like proceeds to not only like show them like how she did it, but she actually was doing it. And I think she did it. She didn't say the name out loud, but she wrote a name down and she put it, and she's like, and this is how I do it. And I'm like, boy, what are you doing? And it's crazy because a lot of people
Such a
that,
bad idea.
well, yeah, well, people that watch that video, they'll be like, oh, like it doesn't matter, like it's fine, it doesn't work. But then it's like, how do you know? But also, if you're watching, and let's say that if you're okay, couple things. Number one, if you're looking up hexes, you're already in a, you know in a negative mood, and you're opening yourself up to things. You're, because nobody looks up like hexes when they're in a good mood, or like, I had a great day, let's look up a hex. It's usually somebody cut them off. you know they, whatever, they got into a fight with somebody, and they're like, I'm gonna look for hexes, and they do the whole thing. And then they're already doing that by watching somebody perform these rituals. I wonder if that negativity kind of like gets sucked in, and then their life begins to fall apart, because even by just watching, and you're watching what this person's doing, and then the words are being spoken, and you have like so much negativity around them, that spell had nowhere to go, but you would like
Mhm.
absorbed it, right? So you're walking around, and now you're just like carrying this loaded gun, you
It's
know
all about energy.
yeah, and it's so bizarre. And then when you talk to people about it, they almost ridicule you, and you're like, don't you think this is crazy that people do it? Like, it's just magic. But then, or it's not real. I'm like, how do you know? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and it just sucks because, again, if I go back to the way we started this conversation about, like, what does it mean to you? you know, a lot of people out there that don't take it very serious are doing those things. They're like, hey, I got this spell book, I learned how to do a hex. They're doing that. And then they welcome friends, and what are you doing? Oh, my boyfriend dumped me. Come over, we're doing a hex. You know what I
Put his
mean?
name in a jar in the freezer.
Well, yeah, put it, yeah. Oh shit. Like, yeah, put the name in a jar in the freezer. You know, yeah, that's so dark. You know.
Maybe that'll
So
be my next spell video.
what to do the jar in the freezer? Like, yeah, let's not do that. No, but it's
I
a
don't
lot
have
of
enough
things.
black wax.
But what's crazy is the fact that in this culture we've lost that. But if you go to places like, holy shit, like the Russian Empire, the Russia itself was built on sorcery. People don't know that. So you had, your Bavaria.
Rasputin did it.
Yeah, well, even try 800 years before Rasputin. You
Oh,
know,
I wouldn't know before the Romanov
so
era for Russia, in all honesty.
so you had, for example, descendants of Genghis Khan. They were the Golden Mongols, as they were called. They went and then they started slaughtering everybody. And then at that time, there was a type of people that they were called the Muscovian, or the Muscovies, and they performed, folk magic and all that kind of stuff. So here you have all these like bloodthirsty Mongolians, and they're coming in, they're slaughtering everybody. These people begin to do ritual, and it stops them. And it didn't stop them like, let's say, at the magic word. It stopped them because they believed, and they're like, holy shit, you know. So then these
Oh,
people,
pay attention.
yeah, and then these people, they proceed to, like, do their sorcery, and they take off running, and they're terrified, and then they will not go near, the Russian border because the magical people live there. So from there, they started basically building their campaigns and all that kind of stuff outside, like out in the outskirts of Russia, like in the mountains and all that kind of stuff. And then these people were able to live their lives, and then they passed on this kind of stuff from generation to generation. So when you look at it, what saved Russia from becoming like a straight Mongolian country? It was people performing sorcery, and these people were terrified. I mean, shit, like Genghis Khan, he was terrified of magic. So was Attila the Hun, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They were just terrified. And to me, it's like, why? Like, what was it? Like, what did you see? What did you
It's like
witness?
my favorite saying when somebody says, I don't believe in magic. And I've actually done this to somebody. I've had someone say to me, I don't believe in witchcraft, blah, da, 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 da. And I literally went, give me a piece of your hair. And they looked at me and they were like, what? And I was like, if you don't believe in it, give me a piece of your hair then.
Yeah, give me your hair.
And they were like, no. And I said, that's where your belief is.
Yeah, why do
If
you
you
think
didn't believe in it, you would have given me a piece of your hair with no issue.
why do
And
you
my
think
spell wouldn't have worked anyway because you don't believe in it.
why does why do you think that is? Like, people are very hesitant towards something like that. Like, do you think that there's something like ingrained in them, like deep
Mm,
inside their DNA, which is like, there's a couple things you don't give away. You don't give away your blood, you don't give away your hair. Can I give away my clothes? Yeah. Can I give away fingernails? Sure.
when
Can I
people come to your house, are you supposed to hide your hairbrush? Yeah, don't just leave it in your bathroom.
Yeah, people made that
Don't,
mistake.
don't do that. That's a
Well,
bad idea.
because you don't or you don't think about it, You
You don't.
you don't think about it. You're kind of like going about your day, and then you're like, huh, like something's
You're
off.
like,
And
oh
you
shit.
Well, it's not even that. Like, something's off, and then you notice that your hairbrush in the bathroom, and it's missing the hair. And you're like, "The hell?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't
You're
clean
like,
this out.
oh shit.
Who did I have in the house? And it's
Mm-hmm.
but I want like I said, I wonder why that. Like, it's always been ancient practice. For when a child's born, take their first haircut, you keep that hair. And it's usually, and I wonder what it is. And then you become,
I don't know because I have my daughter's hair in a bag in my junk drawer right now.
yeah, what is that? Like what?
I have no idea. Like, why do I have that? What am I going to do with that?
Yeah, and it's in the DNA, right? Because no one's taught you that,
Like,
and it's just one of
uh,
those things where,
one thing
like
I won't keep is teeth, though. I'm sorry, I'm
teeth.
not keeping your baby teeth. It's not
Well,
happening.
teeth and hair.
That's
Um,
disgusting.
well, it's the same principle, It's like something, and damn, but if you ever tell anybody, hey man, can I have a small piece of your hair? Like, they just like, ooh, and it doesn't
Like,
matter.
what?
It doesn't matter who it is, like
I
immediate,
mm-mm. I
like
don't give
immediate,
anybody my hair. I don't care if
like
you're my best friend.
like
Fuck no.
immediately the response is like you might as well have said like, "Hey man, can I give me one of your fingers?" You know, the
Hmm.
response is very like, "Oh." You know, and part of me is like, is that something that is ingrained? You know, like at some point in your ancestry, was that something you witnessed? Was that something that someone warned you about? Like, by the way, you never, because there's certain things that you're taught as a child in ancient times that you don't do. You don't go in a forest at night because you'll get eaten by wolves. That's why stories like fairy tales, they have the big bad wolf. They have the three little pigs and the wolf. You know, Little Red Riding Hood
I
and the
think
wolf.
you're onto something though.
And I wonder if it's like you develop like a fear of being in the wilderness, like as a child, like you see that and you're like, "Ooh,
Uh-huh.
I shouldn't go in there." Same thing with the hair. Give me a small piece of your hair, and you're like, "Ooh," you know, like
Yeah.
and it even if you don't
Well,
believe
and didn't scientists prove that hair actually can hold memory and
it carries your
it,
DNA, like
yeah, it
it literally
carries
has
a
your
lot. And that's why
so
in native cultures they only cut their hair when someone close to them has
yeah.
passed. Oh my God, I can't even talk.
Yeah, and damn, you know, and it's just one of the yeah, because a lot of things is passed through your hair. I mean, they could tell how much protein you've consumed by analyzing your hair. Um,
Hmm.
they could look at you and be like, "Excuse me, sir, did you do heroin a month ago?" And you're like, "What do you mean?" It's like it's in
They
the
could see
hair.
if you did heroin at any point in your lifetime.
Yeah, depending how long your hair is, it's there. It's almost like
Yeah, they'll be
it's
like, "Oh, let's pluck this. Did you do this and this and this 10 years ago?" Yeah, I kind of actually
even
edit.
even then when they test your hair and like, we need a small piece of your hair, people are like, why?
No.
Why? Just one
Mm.
strand of hair. Why? You know, and it's always like, and then they have to explain it to you, and then you're like, you know,
There are
but
actually certain public places where I will not just leave my hair down.
what would you like put like a Walmart bag
I
on your
will
hair?
put it in a braid.
Oh, you put it in a braid.
Yep, because I I don't trust people.
Have you seen the videos of like around the world of like old people or just like an old lady like poking somebody with a needle and then that's it, just like a tip, you know, and the people
Hmm.
are like, what the hell was that? You know, and they think, or they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I got bit by a horsefly, and there's like an old person walk away, and it's like that person has your blood.
Like, actually, you were just fucked with.
Do you think do you miss, you know, like when you read certain things about the way that things used to be, like for example, when the president, I can't think of the president right now, before he was the president, went to go visit the Bell Witch. Like, do you miss those times when everything was just like so magical, you know, and you know, people had a literal rabbit's feet in their
If
pocket.
we could go back into that era rather than the shit that we're doing now, that would be phenomenal.
You'd you'd like that era, like this the whole like, oh, you gotta
Oh
be
yeah,
careful.
I would deal with a stinky BO freaking medieval person before half the people that I walk past down the street. Jesus.
Yeah, because
There are
what
some people in this area that just no.
here's an interesting story. So there was a place in Cuba. In Cuba, they practice in Cuba. I mean, it's originally it's an African religion. In places like Cuba, Florida, you know, New York, New Jersey, all those places. There's like a heavy Caribbean population or like African, but they practice something called
Hmm.
Santeria. And so one of the stories was that there was this person that was getting sentenced for, of course, like smuggling cocaine and of course for like smuggling cocaine. And those people are very involved in sorcery and like witchcraft and all that kind of stuff. So much that they go to war with each other. Oh damn, there's a great book. It's called Havana Nocturne. It's by a guy named TJ English. And he also wrote another book called The Corporation. And it's about like the Cuban mafia and how they, you know, how they establish themselves in America and all that kind of stuff. And there's chapters dedicated straight to, you know, Santeria and all that kind of stuff that's
Hmm.
going on. There was a guy who, okay, here's a great story. Okay. So there was a guy, his name was Jose Batlle is what it's how it's said because he was Cuban. Translate to Jose Battle, you know, battles that's written, and he fought to overthrow Castro. They were betrayed. They were supposed to get air support from Kennedy at last minute. Kennedy's like, I don't want to get involved in this. So he pulls back. So he had all these Cubans that were going to go fight against Fidel Castro. And because they didn't have the backup, they were lit up like spotlights, like they were in a stage and they just got lit up. They were thrown in prison. Eventually this guy gets out, and then
Dumbasses.
yeah, they get out and he goes to Miami. And then he ends up going to places like New Jersey because he wants to build like a little empire. So anyway, this guy begins to acquire enemies because he's there used to be this thing called bolita, which is called it means little ball. It's like the Cuban lottery, and it was very illegal. So, but you made a lot of money from it because it was like the mob stuff. So anyway,
Plus,
battles
illegal means
established.
you can make a lot of money off
You can
of.
make a lot of money. So
Shitty.
So battle ends up, starting his business, and a guy betrays him. It was a guy, they called him Ernestico, a guy ended up betraying him, and then he's like, I gotta put a hit on this guy, So he ends up putting a hit on this guy, and basically the first time they find him, and then they ambush him. They load this bastard up with machine gun fire. He's he gets hit 10 times in the chest. He falls over. The guys leave. He fucking lives. He goes to the hospital. Somebody finds him on the side of the road. Goes to the hospital. He survives. So then they're like, damn, he lived. So then a couple months later, they're like, we found him again. This guy still is doing what he's doing. So they go and they ambush him again. This time, battle. He's like, I'm going in myself, because if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. So shoots him to pieces. They shoot him so much, his leg comes off. That's what, yeah.
Oh, shit.
His leg comes off, rips him to pieces. He's like, fuck, like, I loved you, Ernestico. You were like a brother to me because this was a guy, battle. He was a man that he was known for taking in stray dogs. Like he would drive, he's a stray dog. He's like, if the dog comes in, you can come in, and then he would take in stray dogs.
Person. If I could do that, I would.
So he saw this kid who was down on his luck, so he took him in. And this guy ends up betraying him, starting his own business, starts like burning his own like bolita spots, like starts killing his own people. So this guy has to be put down. So he shoots him to pieces, right? Loses the leg, whatever, and then he cries for this kid too. Like he cries for Ernestico. People are saying like fuck, and he's like, you were like a son of me, whatever. So he leaves. He doesn't die. He goes up, they find him again. They find him again, goes to the hospital, he's back. He gets put in prison, by the way. Gets put in prison because they find out that he's moving a lot of cocaine, a lot of stuff. And eventually he ends up paying off these people in prison. This guy, he's working out, right? He's doing his weights. And this guy comes up, stabs him. I don't remember how many times. It was probably over 20, all over his body, his back, gets his kidney, gets everything. And then he gets paid a lot of money. He doesn't die. So finally,
it's really personal when someone like does that.
So he doesn't end up dying. So then they're like, what the hell is going on? So then finally
I'd rather die.
So well, he keeps he keeps coming through, so then he gets out of prison eventually. It's a long story. I'm sorry, guys. So he gets out of prison, walking in the hallway. He hires a hitman. Hitman walks up behind him and boom, shoots him in the back of the head. He flops over, looks at him, gives him 2 more rounds in the back of the head, walks off. And they're like, okay. He doesn't die. The rounds hit the skull, somehow went through the scalp, emerged somewhere. He doesn't die. So then finally, this old lady, he's like, he's got a spirit. He's got a spirit that's protecting him. And he's like, well, what do we do? And then Battle's like, I can't believe he had a spirit. If I would have known, I would have never gone after him. Like, is he coming after me? He says, what you need is a bembe. And he's like, well, what's a bembe? A bembe is a bigger spirit. It's like, so he says, you need a spirit to counter him. So they end up getting a bembe. They do the ritual. The guy does the wine. He spits it out everywhere. He does the whole ritual, right? And then he's like, "It's done. I can feel this spirit leaving Ernestico." So then Ernestico is in the hospital for whatever reason. Guy walks in, shoots him in the chest, shoots him in the face, and that was the end of him. So, and that's when he finally died. And to me, it's just like, okay, was all of this coincidence? How many hits? They can't kill this guy, you know. And then finally, a
Some sort of
person.
protection around him.
Yeah, he had a spirit. So then it gets better. So then
Yeah,
they.
but I feel like not just the spirit. I feel like there's more.
You feel like there was like more behind that, like you think that there was like maybe he did a ritual, maybe he did,
Mhm.
So then this is where the story
Some
gets
sort
real.
of rune, maybe rune symbol.
Yeah, trying to like keep him protected. So then
Mhm.
Battle goes to court because now they have him on cocaine, murder, all this kind of shit. They pin it on him, and he has the same old lady, this Santeria witch, and she walks into the courtroom. Right? They search her, of course. They search her, nothing. She walks into the courtroom. She's about to sit down, and this is the story. Okay, the story goes: she walks in, she does this, powder goes everywhere, bone powder, and walks out, and everybody's like, "What the hell was that?" The judge is trying to sentence and he can't talk, and he's trying to motion, can't, and then he can't get it out.
I like
So
her.
he can't get the words out, right? And this is what made her famous. This is legend. After this lady made so much money. Everybody wanted this lady. Hey, come here. I'll need blah blah blah. So the judge can't get the words out. He's panicking. He's beginning to hyperventilate. So he dismisses the case. Get everybody go home. Everybody leave. So the case is postponed. So he gets the case postponed. Finally, somebody sends him a letter saying that he was hexed, and then the judge is like, I don't want to be hexed, because the judge happens to be, of,
Bone powder, even.
yeah, bone powder. So the judge happens to be of actual Cuban descent. So what's interesting is, if you're of Cuban descent, you grew up hearing these stories, and he's like, holy shit, like what? And they go, yeah. So then he dismisses the case. So it's just like one of those, like, I'm like, damn, they brought
Hopefully, I don't get
in.
hexed again.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's the thing. So this lady became famous. I mean, a lot of criminals, shit, when they got
Oh,
what's his
queen.
name, um what the Pablo Escobar, when they arrested him, they realized that in his closet he had a Santeria closet. Like, that's
Oh,
crazy.
yes, he did.
And then people were like, what is going on?
His wife practiced, believe
It's
it or not.
insane. Well, it's what's crazy is what these people ended up coming to, the like Jose Battle, all these people, they all came from the old country. This judge came from the old country, and they held on to those beliefs, and that's how badly it influenced a judge who, rather not sentence somebody because somebody told him that if he did, he was going to get hexed. And he's like, yeah, I don't want this. So
Hmm.
let go unknown criminal, and a guy that was becoming a kingpin, and instead of he could have crushed this guy like under the law and stopped it, but he didn't. He was like,
Oh,
I don't,
yeah, easy.
yeah, like, I don't want this. So he ends up dismissing the case. So if you go to places like Cuba, especially Havana, you see how much, like, number one, there's a lot of dancing. Number two, there's a lot of sex, and number three, there's a lot of magic. Like, places. There's people that will sell you
Cuba would be so cool to go to.
Cuba. I don't trust this fucking communist. Like, no thanks.
I don't I wouldn't trust like going there by myself in any way, shape, or form. I would need somebody. Yeah, no, but Cuba would be cool. I have a feeling I would get kidnapped though.
In Cuba,
Yeah,
seeing those old vehicles, how they put like
yeah.
diesel engines and like old classic vehicles because of the embargo. So that's one of the first things. If you're a tourist in places like Cuba, I had a friend that was a detective for, I won't even mention the part, in Utah, and he ended up going to Cuba for a job, And he says that one of the first things that they asked him, because they realized he was American. They're like, oh, he's an American. So they asked him if they're like, what do you need? And they're like, do you need, you know, do you, do you need alcohol? Do you need sex? Do you need magic? And then he's like, those three things? And they're like, yeah. He's like, and then he's like,
Alrighty.
and then he said that he was walking, and then that's what you see. He says you see hookers, you see bars, and the way that they have bars a lot like in El Salvador. In El Salvador, you have bars that are it's almost like how kids have a lemonade stand, lemonade. You have bars that are
No fucking way.
yeah, they have like there's a guy just sitting there, and he's sitting there in this little stand,
That's so
and
bad.
and you see like they would take like a bookshelf, right, and it would be like behind him, and it was loaded with
The most
booze, and this guy
epic
was
thing I've ever
and
heard in
this
my life.
and this guy would serve you booze. You go over there and like, oh, tiene usted un Tom Collins,
Oh
and he's like, oh,
yeah.
sí, and he serves you the drink, and you can go like walk like in an outdoor market, and you can see like a lady who's like just sitting there, and she'll sell clothes, but if you ask her for like a specialty something, she'll like bring you in, and she lets you know that she's a witch, and she'll sell
I
you
was
like
thinking something else.
yeah, she'll like give you a happy ending. No, she'll sell you like little items.
I was
Actually, prostitute, and this is what's crazy. Depending on where you are, prostitution is seen as more decent than practicing magic. Depending where you are in El Salvador. So she'll take you like to the back, and like she'll show you like her wares, and she'll have like little jars. She'll have envelopes, like all these kind of things. But then she tells you, don't tell anybody. And so and that's the way that it is. And then it's like an outdoor market. But if you go to places like for example, Izalco is known as the land of the witches, la tierra de los brujos. um one of the most famous like shamans, his name was Macario. And and Macario was known as a guy who was a very powerful magic wielder, to the point where if you were hungry, he can like go. One of the stories was that he went and started a fire with these logs, and then he told you to put it out. It's like, well, put out the fire, and he's like, all right. So then they put out the fire, and then he like reaches in and he actually pulls out like a turkey, like un chumpe, a turkey that's been like food. He's like, here, now you have this. Like, where the hell did that come from? It was just magic. Those are the stories that they tell about him. So, anyways, when you go to places like Izalco, you see an open market, and I would say it's 50% sorcery, 50% food.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, 50% sorcery, 50% food. You go there, there's people dancing. You see, like, and what's interesting is nowadays in the United States, like if somebody's like, what kind of witch are you? Like, oh, I'm this. And they have to tell you. In places like that, you can tell what kind of witch she is by the way she's dressed. You could tell who's a gypsy witch, who's a Romani witch, because they're dressed like. You ever seen The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Best Disney movie ever. Well, one
Okay.
of them.
Do you remember like the main girl? Like she's a Romani second.
Esmeralda.
Yeah. Okay. So they dress like that. She's a gypsy.
I was her for Halloween one year.
How did that go?
I barely remember. I think I was like 7.
Oh, but they dress like that, and then what they do is they dance, and what's crazy is the Romani witches that do that and are dancing. They're known as kind of like the horror witches, they'll yeah, because they'll yeah.
That's terrible.
And that's what they are. Is their magic is fueled very much by sexuality, and you see it.
Well,
And you see it, like you can go and type in these videos and you see them like they're like dancing provocatively to a guy, they're dancing with
go
him and
to
all kinds
any club in America and you'll
well,
see that at 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning.
but here's the thing is they're doing the dancing, and then you kind of see like if you pay attention, you kind of see them move their hands and they're doing all these things, and it's like they're doing a spell on this individual. You know, a lot of the times the guys don't know, they don't realize it. They're kind of like, oh wow, this girl's dancing on me, and and it's awesome. And if you watch long enough, they'll watch and they're like, all right, cool, and they're like, I don't know why, but here's $20, and they walk away.
I
And
don't
it's
know why.
yeah, well, yeah, and it's just like, oh wow, and here's $20, and they walk away, and it's like you had no idea what she just did. Like she just enchanted you to give her money, and $20 is a lot of money. You see that?
Oh,
Um,
for
you're
sure.
you're able to see what their version of like green witches is like, and what it is you see them. They're dressed like peasants. They have like the traditional clothes. They have the big hats, but the women with the big hats, but they have big bags, and you know what kind of witch they're like. What's the matter? What do you need? What's wrong? Your stomach hurts? Well, here's this. You did, and then they'll go ahead and they'll do all that kind of stuff. You know what it is. You see cosmic witches. They wear the red and well, what's interesting is how a lot of them begin to it's so weird. Okay, so there's a festival that's done, right? And there's a certain festival that's done, and they honor Macario, like the famous sorcerer. They honor him, but then it starts getting dark, and then you see a lot of the witches and they leave. Like, oh, what's going on? Why are they leaving? And they pack up their shit. And the carnival's barely starting. There's lights, there's everything, and you would think that this is where they'll make their money, because this is when more tourists come
No.
in, because they're right. So then they start packing up their shit and they leave. And you're like, where's everybody going? And then you just see like a small caravan, and then like these witches in red and black or purple and black, and they show up, and then they start like setting up. And then they're like, oh, okay, it's now nighttime, and they want no part of this. And then they start like doing their thing, anything from throwing cards to like doing enchantments,
Hmm.
doing all these things. And then it's just like it's just so interesting. You look at it, and if you don't know what you're looking at, you can miss it. But then if you know what you're looking at, you can just watch and you see them like strut in, and they're there for, like, of course, the money, but they're also there to like business. They're there to, and they mean
Hmm.
business. And a lot of the witches will leave, unless a couple of witches will stay, but it's if they have certain permission. They have to have certain permission. And then you see like the crone of the group. The crone is the oldest one that's there, and she'll come in, and she'll walk around, like throwing shit on the ground, like salt or powder, and she walks in, and everybody's like, and if you're a tourist, you're like, well, what kind of show is this? If you're a local, you run for your fucking life, and then you're like, yeah, I don't, and it's just interesting. So it's just so magical, and it's kind of it's like, I guess that in my mind I romanticize it a lot because it was such a big part of my childhood, you
Hmm.
know. So my yeah, so like my aunts and my uncles, if we would go, number one, I went there as an adult, and I went there as a kid actually with one of my cousins, and my dad found out that I went to that place, and he was so pissed. He's like, you do not set foot there. I was like, well, what do I didn't know. He's like, that place is, and if you guys watch long enough, you like, my father, like, you do not go to that place ever again. I was like, I didn't know. And then he's like, ¿Quién te llevó? Who took you? It was Emelina. Emelina, and he gets so pissed. Anyway, so I went back as an adult, and then you kind of look around and you're like, damn, but you feel, and it's kind of ridiculous to say to a lot of people. They're like, oh yeah, right. But I'm telling you that you go there and you feel it. Like you feel, and I've used this illustration a lot. If you go to a concert, and if you're standing close enough to the speakers, and then the music's playing, it hits you in the chest, you just
Hmm.
feel that vibration. That's what it feels like. And you're there and you're like, damn. And then if somebody's close enough to you, and again, it's like if somebody's close enough to you, I swear you could smell the sorcery. Like it has a smell, you know. And it's, yeah,
Do I have a smell?
and I went with somebody, and I'm like, you smell that? And she was like, no. And I'm like, I swear, like it's she's like, you don't smell it? I'm like, no. And I'm like, it's everywhere, you know. But it has to be like pretty damn close. But my father, he was just, man, always talk to him in the past tense as if he's dead. Might as well be. I'm kidding. But
That is terrible.
but
If you're watching, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he's probably watching. He doesn't care. So he was one of those. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because he's been more involved in the culture, like maybe he's around it more, maybe he knows what to look for. But as a kid, I just remember walking places and then he stops, and I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "There's a witch around here. Like I could smell the magic." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then he pauses. And then this is a story that I tell people. I don't tell a lot of people, but I said it before on the show. So one day we were walking. It was like fuck, I don't know, like 3 in the morning, and then we were walking in the dark, and we have our flashlight, right? Because you gotta. It's muddy. No vehicles go there because they'll get stuck in the mud. You have to like go down this narrow road. There's
Oh
trees.
wait, and you don't have power there too.
Yep, there's no power, there's no electricity, there's no until you walk for hours until you get to like close to a town. Then you kind of see like the lights of the town. So this was, jungle. So then we pause, and then my dad's like, and I go, what? And I just remember he pulls out his machete and he's holding on to it, and he kind of like, see, now I got to do this for effect now. So he pulls it out. And I just remember he just kind of like holds it like up to his chest, and he just starts to slide it. All of a sudden, you hear his like bird, like wings, like a bird, like gigantic, flying out of the damn tree. And I was like, "What was that?" And he's like, "Una lechuza." You know, a lechuza is an owl, but they believe that it's a witch in disguise. Una lechuza. Like, oh
Mm-hmm.
shit! So and we've had a lot of those stories. Like he just like stop, and I'm like, "What?" And then he always had that six, even to this very day. There's just something like I don't know what it is. Maybe because I spend the majority of my time um either ignoring it or kind of suppressing it. But it's interesting. I might just call myself Decon the Witch Hunter. Just like just for old tradition's sake. You know what I mean? And then just kind of like and
No,
the Witch Hunter. So
no.
it's but it was like just so mad. Like I just remember like in talking to my family and like tell me stories about witches, and then they're kind of like, "Mira," and then they tell me a story, like they whisper the story, and it's like, "And what happened to that witch?" It's like your grandfather ended up beheading her. I was like, "Whoa." And I go, yeah, and he said, and I'll never forget this. I could live to be 100. He was like, "You want me to show you?" Because my grandfather would collect the fingers of the witch that he would. Yeah, he would cut. I think it was the ring finger, if I remember correctly. And then and
That's
then
like where everything comes.
yeah, so
That
so
sounds.
that so then he
Uh,
so then he's like, "You want to see the jar of fingers?" And I was like, "No."
no.
um,
Uh,
but yeah, I've seen it. Like it's in the
I
back of
mean,
the
if
car.
he has a couple of like straight pinkies in there, I'll take a couple
You
and he
you
can
you
have my pinkies.
you can have your pinkies. No, he's dead now.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Hoping I get a new pinky.
The jar's still there. I just remember I've seen it once. It was like behind like this bureau drawer, whatever. It had like my grandfather's stuff. It had like his hat. He wore a suit, like even though he was like a man that didn't really know how to read. Like he had like yeah, he had a suit with like as much. Yeah, he was ridiculous. He would wear a pin. I don't know if my dad actually gave it to him, but he would wear a pinstripe suit and he would wear leather sandals.
Hinge.
Uh-huh.
Did
Ima-
you say pinch?
yeah.
Oh,
Imagine imagine that idiot walking down the road and it's him with a fedora with a feather in it, which was a lechuza feather.
oh my
Pins
God, you're taking me
pinstripe
back to middle school.
pinstripe suit and a leather sandals and a magical machete.
God.
So
Throw a tie on there with a wife beater and you got your Avril Lavigne look.
yeah.
God.
So
Pinch
imagine
right.
imagine that dumbass walking down the road my grandfather.
No, because I would have just laughed. I would
so
have been
so
like, "Sir, can I please help you? Can we please go change? Let me
he's
help you.
he'd be like, bruja, you know,
Fine.
and
Let
then
me help you."
he would hack you to pieces with a machete. So
Fine.
this was and he had an enchanted machete, like it would dispel magic, and there was a ritual you do for it. I owned that. There was a blade that I used in my last setup. I might just set it up back here, but that's a magical blade that dispels magic, so it's able to kill not only witches but also things like skinwalkers and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so um it was just like that culture. Like if you're like into this kind of stuff, I wonder if that's why a lot of people that are interested in like the old ways, or so they'll go to places like in Central America or South America and they just stay, because
I
it's
want to
like
go to Scotland.
Scotland. You
I
want to
would
go
love
to
to.
Scotland? Come on down. They ought to look at you, you oldlander.
I've looked at where some of my family came from in Scotland, and I would never leave. They were idiots.
Where where did you what is your name? Let me tell you something. I don't know your name,
You don't sound
and I don't care to know your
you don't
name.
sound Scottish. You sound like that one actor that can't talk. What's his name?
Oh,
Um, who has that voice?
the Scottish actor.
No, it's not even a Scottish actor.
Cool, because in Scotland there's
Um,
that accent. So when it says in
my
Scotland when
God, I'm just
somebody's like,
thinking of Robin Williams doing it now.
I am a Highlander.
That's what you sound
Don't
like,
tell
Robin
me.
Williams doing one of his voice impressions.
Don't when they say that. So those people. So in Scotland, there's three kinds of people. There's people that are Highlanders, they're kind of like the hillbillies of Scotland. You have Lowlanders, which are more like city people, and then you have the Auslanders, people that are foreigners. So
Uh,
you have
I'm not sure about my family. I don't think we were like the hillbillies, though. I'm pretty sure we. Where did they? Let me look it up. Keep
Lowlanders. But again, I mean, it's just like those roots of those places. So
hmm
it's just like if
It
you
gets
have,
wild.
yeah, if you have a draw for those kind of places. I mean, and a lot of it, I think that, and again, this is going to sound ridiculous to some people, but I don't care. A lot of people that go to those places, it's almost like your roots are calling you home. You know what I mean? And you get there and you
hmm
feel right at home. You feel
Oh
like
yeah.
I've been here all my life, and
hmm
I've been here my whole life, and it's probably because of your ancestors are just calling you home.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Guarantee it.
um, with me is
Um. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that with
I
me
wasn't trying to interrupt you.
when I go. Oh no, you're fine. When I haven't been there in a really long time, but when I go like to the country of my father, when I go to those places, the only thing that like keeps me coming back is knowing that I'm an American and I'm better than everybody here.
Okay. Ooh. Mhm. Air dry Lanarkshire. I don't know if that's how you. But that's what it looks like. It's Airdrie, then Lanarkshire, Scotland.
Island Yorkshire.
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
Um,
That's what it
so
is.
it is just like your roots will call you home, and that's why a lot of people, I believe that there's people in a society which they never feel like they fit in. They feel like they're always an outcast, like you just don't blend in with people. And it's like when you go, yeah, go back to your country. It's almost like when you go back to your family's country of origin, you're like, I think I feel at home, and
Mhm.
then you go to those places and then you just end up staying. And a lot of it is like you no longer feel, you know, like an outcast, like you feel like you belong, And it also depends like the type of culture it is, because some people treat you like garbage, like, oh, look at this guy, he's he comes in and he's blah blah blah. Kind of like when you get all these people and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Africa, and you go there and then they realize that those people hate them. It's
I was just gonna
But I mean, but if you have family, like there's a lot of places which the history is so old that you have family there, like aunts, and they welcome you in. They're like, "Oh, you're one of us," and come in,
Hmm.
and it's just I don't know, it's magical, and it's interesting that I wonder why it is that we just left all that behind, like in this culture.
I
Is it
don't know
be
because like I have family in Italy that I have never met before, but I know if I were to go there, they would just be like, "Yay!"
and you arrive there and he's like, "I'm an
Exactly.
Auslander. Who are you, Mister Man?" Or you arrive and you're like, "Bibbidi bobbidi bibbidi," you know.
No,
Oh,
English only,
Samita,
please.
mere sta precioso il bambino.
Oh God,
Anyway,
probably how it would be.
so it is one of those things where it's like if you get, and I'm saying this, if you feel like you don't fit in this culture, why don't you go back to your country? No, it's one of those things where yeah, I'm saying it. Who cares? Um, but it's just like I don't know, and it's I I will admit that sometimes I will have moments where I just like I tell story, and I guess that it's more when I tell stories. I'll tell stories, and I like when I was a kid, I remember, but then it like takes you back. You just feel the nostalgia, and you're just like it. As a kid, it was normal. Like, yeah, what do you mean you don't believe in sorcery? What are you stupid? But then as an adult, you kind of grow out of it. But then you go back, and then you begin to realize like how magical that time was.
Hmm.
And you're like, damn, how the grandmother is like, don't go out there, da 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 da, because then El Cadejo's gonna get you, or the moon is bad. It's a bad moon. Stay inside. What are you doing?
I
Soup.
mean, I go by lunar cycles.
Throw out
Can't
the
do much.
ashes. Throw out the ashes. El Cipitillo's gonna come and eat them. Just shit like that. And it was just,
Yeah, but if you don't think the moon affects you, you're special kind of stupid.
well, I mean, yeah, like
If
if
your
you're a
body is majority water, what does the moon do to the ocean?
well, so
Pulls
like
in the tide, pulls it back out.
so in that thing, well, really quick, because oh shit, we're running out of time. So like with the moon, really quick, if you're a police officer or you work in law enforcement, you understand that when there's a full moon, it's gonna be the night's gonna be a little bit more violent. That's where we get the term lunatic, by the way. The word lunatic comes from
I worked with
people.
people that have disabilities. When it was a full moon, there were more call-ins on a full moon day than any other day.
Yeah, and then that was terrible.
Always.
Damn it. So that's it, guys. That was
Yeah.
the show. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was very nostalgic. I mean, I guess that like for years I did, and this is what's crazy is for a big majority of my life, I had no idea I had interesting stories. Like, isn't that crazy? Like to think that like when somebody's like, "Oh, what was your childhood
Hmm.
like?" And I was like, "Oh, well, running through the jungle, and my father, he was the guy who everybody would call if there was sorcery in the air, and he would go and figure it out." People were like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I'm like, "What?"
It's so crazy how different our childhoods are.
Yeah, I didn't wear shoes. Um,
And I was sitting at home watching Rugrats and drinking out of a juice box, probably.
I almost died. I had yellow fever. Anyway, I was that's a story for a different time. So anyway, that's it, guys. So today's episode was brought to you by Loot by Lottie. So guys, go on ahead, and if you guys head on over to the Loot by Lottie page, if you guys type in Lucky Loot, you guys will get 10% off your first box. Actually, I think they're building boxes as we speak, aren't they? Don't they have like separate?
Um, she has three different sizes. I think she's still doing a sale right now. Let me double. I think her sale right now is you name your price on the item, and
Oh, see.
then that's
Oh,
what
that's
she's
cool.
selling it for to you.
Yeah, that's cool.
I
Haggling.
think
That's a
she has some boxes going out tomorrow, so get those orders in.
yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, we need another box. Another unboxing would be cool. Anyway, yeah, and also by Shadow Nation. Check out Ghost in Groceries or Groceries and Ghosts by Sean Burris and Shadow Nation podcast. So check that out, like and subscribe. What else? Is that it?
You
Who do
didn't
we?
plug in your merch, your own
Oh,
personal merch
that.
that you freaking made.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, what is
Oh
it? Oh,
yeah,
a
I do art, guys.
yeah,
My bad.
T Public. Go get a shirt, get a mug, get all that good stuff. We have shorts. Um, you guys can head on over to the page, and there's a link tree. You guys can everything you guys want to find, it's on there. So you guys check that out. We might have a sponsor pretty soon. Another one, so just keep an eye out for that. And that's it, guys. Remember to always look both ways, especially if there's a slut witch.
Wow, what an outro. Bye.